Welcome to the show, Gertrude Matshe. You are a social entrepreneur and inspirational speaker, passionate about helping people achieve their full potential and individual life purpose. You've started your career in Norway and worked within the IT industry as a project manager, migrating to New Zealand in 2001. Wow. Loads more to talk about with you. So thank you so much for joining us, especially as early as it is over there in New Zealand at the moment for you. So thanks for joining us, and please do tell us more.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to connect with all of you. So I have been living in New Zealand for 21 years and have just moved to Australia last year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
My only daughter was about to have a baby. So I jumped on a flight, came to Australia to be with her. The day I landed, the two countries locked down. I couldn't go back to New Zealand for 8 months.
Oh, wow.
And decided to stay. My little grandson is now a year old.
Yeah,
And just the most amazing little human. There is no way I can go back to New Zealand now.
Right. Uh-oh.
Congratulations.
So I pitched an idea to build an application called the Diversity Connector for the New Zealand Australia Women in Technology Awards last year in November and won the first prize.
Wow. Congrats.
So I'm busy working on an application that will dispense stories. I curate women's stories.
Okay.
I believe we can change the world through our stories, one person at a time, one woman at a time. And it came out of my personal experience, having had gone through a very traumatic divorce that led to separation, that led to congestive heart failure due to stress and hypertension.
Wow.
I collapsed in a rice field in Bali in Indonesia. And it was a real wake-up call for me. I realized at that point that all of my work, my philanthropic work in particular, would have died with me. What I had created was not sustainable. I had been going around the world as an inspirational speaker, raising funds for the orphaned children in my immediate family and community in Zimbabwe. And lying in that rice field that day, I realized I had to change the way I was doing things. I've been given a second chance, thankfully.
Yeah.
And during my recovery, I came up with an idea to create a platform very similar to TED Talks, where I could coach, I could mentor women to share their stories, to be a source of hope, of inspiration to another woman who might be going through a similar challenge. I launched in Las Vegas in July 2019 with the first 100 women. Second event was in Wellington, New Zealand. The third was in Sydney, Australia. And then I got an amazing grant from the New Zealand government and went to Norway. I had an event in Oslo, in London, went back to New York. And I had 15 events that had to be canceled beginning of 2020 because of COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was in a terrible financial black hole.
All of us.
And then my personal tragedies happened. I first lost my mother on the 29th of April, 2020. She died in Zimbabwe. I wasn't able to go to her funeral. My daughter had a miscarriage 3 weeks later. And you know how you sometimes just have to stop?
Yeah.
You have to stop and take in the sadness, the pain, the grief. And the day of my mother's funeral, I remembered a ritual. In Zimbabwe, if you lose someone close, to show that you are in mourning, you shave off all your hair.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's what I did. And my brother fortunately managed to Zoom us in so we could watch the funeral online. I have a sister in Sydney, Australia, a brother in Edmonton, Canada. I was in New Zealand, so we were scattered all over the world.
Yeah.
And my sister came online and took one look at me and started laughing hysterically. I said, Patricia, why are you laughing? It's Mom's funeral today. She said to me, Gertrude, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, you look so much like mom. It scares me.
Oh, wow. Mm.
And I was a duplicate copy of my mother. People used to think we were sisters.
Yeah.
Now, fast track, it's now November. I'm still in this sad, depressive state. I wake up in a dream. And in that dream, I was brushing my teeth in the morning. I looked up into the mirror, and the person looking back at me wasn't me. It was my mother.
Wow.
And she was healthy and vibrant and laughing the same way my sister had laughed on the day of her funeral. And she said to me, do you see, baby? Do you see what I did? I made you look like me.
Wow.
So that you will remember I am in you. I am with you. I haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah. I love
but you
that.
need to get up. You need to do your work.
Yeah.
She said, so long as you are 6 feet above the ground, the job is not done.
That's right.
Very powerful.
And I snapped out of that state of depression.
Yeah.
And I put my platform online, and we are scaling faster now than I could have ever imagined.
Wow.
I have a following of over 50,000 women in 25 countries.
Yeah.
And COVID had a lot to do with the success of this organization because people are seeking connection right now.
Right.
People were in isolation, people were lonely, people were sad, people were experiencing the grief. And I created a platform of these magical stories that uplift and inspire and give hope. And even the sad stories, I would tell my community that in the sharing of the stories, let's tell the story like you were talking to the younger you. I've had women who've come onto our platform who've been sexually molested as children, who've been raped, domestic violence, stories like mine of recovering from different types of illnesses. But we own the story. We tell it from a position of strength so that the story doesn't define who we are and run our lives.
Right.
And there is a lot of healing that has come out of the storytelling, you know? In Africa, we believe that a problem shared or a story shared is a problem halved. That the minute you tell your story to another human being, it's not yours to carry alone.
That's right.
So there's a lot of healing that comes out of storytelling. And that element of my work, I had not seen, I had not imagined. It evolved, and I was able to share my magic.
That's right.
I know I'm a powerful storyteller, and I know I can help other people to do the same. And stories are magical. So that's where I am right now. What is the journey that I'm on.
What a blessing you can inspire people to open up, right? That's the coolest thing. Tom, you got a question?
Well, there's loads to ask you, really, Gertrude. But first of all, just off the back of that, how do people get hold of what you do or get to your platform? How do people interact with what you're doing or get in touch?
The website is theherstorycircle.com. We have a YouTube channel called the Her Story Circle TV. And it's really been word of mouth that has grown this community. I have asked every woman who's stepped forward to tell 10 friends. So we started with 100, we grew to 1,000. We're now at 50,000. And it's been absolutely incredible what's possible when an idea spreads. You know, the TED tagline is ideas worth spreading. I live and breathe TED. I have done 3 TED Talks, but I never get access to the thought leaders. You know, when you listen to an inspiring speaker and you think, gosh, I would love to learn more from them. That's what I want to try and do with this platform, to give people access to these thought leaders. So we also run workshops. We have events 1 month. And the next month, our speakers run workshops so that there's a transfer of knowledge from person to person.
Wonderful. Ryan, you got a question?
Yeah, you mentioned your TED Talks. I watched 2 of them earlier, very powerful. How did you get involved with just, I guess, public speaking in general? I was curious.
Oh, my public speaking journey started a long, long time ago.
Okay.
I was one of those little girls who would be at the back of the class talking, cracking jokes. I used to be punished for speaking. I tell people now I get
Yeah.
paid to do it.
How about that? That's
It was
cool.
one of my
Yeah.
intuitive gifts. My father and mother discovered that it was a gift,
Yeah.
and they channeled my energy and encouraged me to go into drama, public speaking, debate. I remember growing up in Rhodesia. If you don't know about Zimbabwe's history, we grew up in an apartheid system very similar to South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Blacks and whites didn't mix. I'm 55. I remember having streets where you had to walk on one side of the street and not the other.
That's crazy in your own country.
In your own country. And my experience of independence was at the age of 13, 1980. My mother took me shopping for the first time in a supermarket.
Oh, boy.
And we would walk down the aisle and pick things off the shelf and go to the counter and pay.
Yeah.
So my dad used to say that the corporate world is white. You have to be confident and stand up in front of white people and speak.
Mm-hmm.
So he used to put us on a bus, all of his children from the age of 16. We would go and stay in the city during school holidays, and we were forced to apply for jobs and not take them.
Mm.
So I built my self-confidence by going for job interviews.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's how I got my first job with the London Rhodesia company and ended up becoming a COBOL programmer that led to systems analysis and design. I would never have gone into IT by choice.
Yeah.
But that year, my father had lost his job. The bank was about to repossess our home, and they needed somebody with a payslip. And I said, Dad, I can go to work. I had 4 job offers that year.
Wow.
I could have been a COBOL programmer. I wanted to be a pilot and fly the plane out of Zimbabwe if I had to, but passed the aptitude test, failed the height restriction. I was 1.4 meters tall. You had to be 1.7. I wanted to be a nurse and an air hostess. And my father sat me down and gave me the best advice he ever gave me. He said, there's this thing called a computer. He didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
My dad was a chartered accountant, fortunately got a scholarship and studied in London. And he said, technology is the future. This thing is like an adding machine and a typewriter. Forget everything else.
Yeah.
Go for COBOL programming. And it changed the trajectory of my whole life. Yeah. Everything I've done has been technology based.
Now, I'm going to switch stories on it because, this is Music for Global Change. We usually talk about music, but I was raised by my mom, my grandmother, and my aunt. They were all gospel singers, right? The beautiful thing is now, if you got 50,000 women, a lot of them got to be musicians, right?
Yes, definitely. I discovered the musical part of myself when I was 37. I have recorded 10 songs.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My children are very, very musical. And yes, you're right. The women in my community, a lot of them are musicians, and some have never had the courage to sing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have created a creativity section on our platform. We've got 6 broad categories. It's business and entrepreneurship, health and wellness, family and relationship, social justice, spirituality, and creativity. Mm-hmm. And in the creativity section, people can express themselves in any way they want. If they dance, they can come and dance. If they sing, they can come and sing. If they do poetry. So we've included that, and it has changed the dynamic
I'm sure.
of our events in the most magical way. Because sometimes we have a story that's very sad, and now we curate the program that if there's a sad story, it's followed by something musical.
Wow.
Or something that makes people shift and move the energy and dance. And it's transferred really well online as well, infusing this musical part of what we do.
Interesting.
We're looking for women who write social conscious music.
Okay. Yeah. I love what your organization stands for. You're right that music is the global language. It transcends gender, race, ethnicity,
age.
It just breaks down all of the barriers that human beings experience. I would love to help bring as many women to your work as possible.
This is wonderful because we want to start festivals, right?
Okay.
Where people just do positive music. It's not
music.
Not lyrics about yourself.
Yes.
It's about music that can help us get out of this crab bucket together.
I love it.
You know what I mean? There's been so many big, huge songs out that help the world. You know what I mean? We like to hear what you're doing too. You say you got an album out.
I produced it myself. It was just a karaoke thing. I decided to leave the sound of my voice for my children. We recorded 10 of my favorite songs. I plucked up the courage to do it because I remember thinking, these children should have got this voice from somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's me.
I love inspiring people to go at it, right?
So, I love that.
Yeah.
The world needs it. You know, when I look at the power of music and how frivolous some of these musicians are now going, the direction they're taking, and generating money, getting popular, but not really doing it for good.
Yeah.
It really is something that is needed right now.
That's right.
You know, I met a young woman. Her name is Crystal Starr. She's African-American. She's based in California. And I interviewed her for my podcast. Amazing musician. She wrote a song called She.
Okay.
And it's an empowering song all about women's empowerment. So we've been using her story as a theme song for our movement.
Great.
I know a lot of musicians. I know a lot of women that I can connect you with, definitely.
Well, Tom, you got another question?
Yeah, just additional to everything else that you've been involved in, you've also written several books, and you're also a book writing coach. Can you tell me a little bit about the sort of books that you've written and how that's come about for you?
So I wrote my first book. It was a memoir. It started off as a journal, really, when I lived in London and ended up living in Norway. And it was a story of all of the people that I met throughout my travels who showed up like angels when I needed help. It was called Fleeting Angels originally, but when I published, I decided to call it Born on the Continent Ubuntu. And I infused the Ubuntu philosophy into my stories to illustrate what the philosophy actually meant. A lot of people who Google Ubuntu think that Ubuntu is just a piece of Linux software. They think it's an operating system.
That's what I thought.
It's a lot of misappropriation of African content. And so I wanted to own the word. I wanted to take it back. And in a small way, I managed to do that and accidentally branded myself as an Ubuntu expert because 21 years ago, there was no books written. There was no literature. It's a tradition that's passed down through oral storytelling. And so that's what the first book is about. And then people started asking how I wrote the book so fast. And I developed a process called How to Write a Book in 40 Hours. And How to Write a Book in 40 Hours is about just telling the story, recording the audio, transcribing the audio, and that's the first draft of your book out of your head quickly. And then you go back, rewrite, and work with editors. And so that turned into a publishing business called Black Kiwi Publishing. And that's what I've been doing for the last 21 years. I not only write books for myself, but I ghostwrite for other people as well and help tell their stories.
Wow.
It's an incredible business.
Yeah, I saw that How to Write a Book in 40 days or 40 hours on your YouTube channel. And I saw some of the testimonials and I was like, how does somebody write a book in 40 hours? But then I thought, you and my dad were just talking. I was like, you guys should create another How to Write a Song in 4 hours.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by your journey in technology. Just so we're clear, the website, so Her Story Circle is the platform. Beautiful website, beautifully designed. I'd just love to hear some more about what you've got planned in the future. You've got the website, you've got the coaching, you've got a podcast, which is music to my ears. I mean, what an app? What else what do you got going on next? I mean, it sounds like you're so busy.
I try and keep myself busy. My mother said I was ADHD. I just wasn't medicated.
Okay.
And so I use the energy that is in this body to do what I came on this planet to do.
That's right.
I have a vision right now to create a reality TV show.
Okay.
So I was very fortunate when I moved to New Zealand to live and be very close to Peter Jackson. In fact, his son and my son went to school in the same area. We would see him on a Sunday on the soccer field. And when they finished filming Lord of the Rings, I started stalking him. I'm going to be honest with you.
Wow.
He was giving presentations and talks all over Wellington about how they made Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I would go to these presentations and talks. And one day, the guy who designed the spider in Lord of the Rings, the graphics designer, was giving a lecture. And I'm at the back of the room and my hand shot up and I asked the question, how can I take part in one of your movies?
Okay.
And they were looking for African extras for King Kong, which is the next film he made.
Okay.
And of course, there's not many Africans in New Zealand. I was volunteering for the refugee service. I help other immigrants who come to this part of the world to find work, to use their natural gifts to make money. And so I created a casting agency and a database that I sold to Peter Jackson for the making of King Kong. I supplied all the ethnic extras
for people of color.
That's amazing.
I was actually in film school at the time. And I told my lecturers that I had this idea. Peter Jackson's looking for extras. I'm going to create this company. And one of my lecturers said, go for it. I will help you with anything you need. I got a few ladies together and said, look, if you can come online and help me film this commercial, I might get the contract to work with Peter Jackson. So 6 ladies said they would come and do this with me. I went and showed them this little video.
Hello and welcome to Simzi Sani Creations. Simzi Sani is a culturally unique talent agency focusing primarily on Black African faces and personalities for the film and advertising industry. Formed in Cape Town, South Africa in 1994, Simzi Sani is now an international operator and is based in Wellington, New Zealand. We offer a wide range of talent, including actors, models, dancers, and musicians of African origin, as well as from a diverse range of ethnicities. We can cater for all your on-screen talent needs. You can contact us through our website, www.simzisanicreations.com. We hope to be hearing from you soon.
Wow.
Well, the day I filmed this, I had made 6 costumes for 6 ladies to dance. Only 2 showed up. So if you look carefully, I'm the 3rd dancer at the back.
I love it.
So I shot the piece to camera. I shot the dancing scene. We edited it. I hired a marketing company who created this beautiful box. It was a Russian woman. It was gold. It folded up in this weird way. And instead of giving them the database on a flash drive, I burnt a disc with this commercial on one side, the database on the other side, went and presented and became a filmmaker just by participating in King Kong. When they filmed Avatar, same thing. I took part in both films. Not big parts. And my acting actually started when Denzel Washington came to Zimbabwe when I was 19. They filmed Cry Freedom in Zimbabwe.
Oh, wow.
Cry Freedom?
I remember that picture.
Yeah, I had a small walk-on, walk-off part. Met Denzel when I was a kid, and he would talk to me every day. We became really good friends the 3 weeks we were on set. And so in the making of my own feature film, I have handpicked all of my actors who are taking part in this movie. I've been working on the script for the last 10 years. And fortunately, Peter Jackson's wife became one of my mentors. When she read the first script, she said, Gertrude, it's too big a story to do as one film. Break it up into 3 separate films. So the first film will start from when I left Africa 20 years ago until now. The second film is my backstory, my childhood story.
Okay.
And the third film is futuristic. It is a prophecy of Africa 100 years from now.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
We love you so much, sister. Thank you for all this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spirit that you have, and
Thank you.
the inspiration and all of that kind of stuff. Like, would you come back on the show?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
And we want to ask you for your endorsement for Music for Global Change to inspire people to write positive music.
Positive music.
Yes, that's what we're all about. Blessings and namaste.
Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all get together, music can save the world. Yeah. Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all come together, music can save the world. There's an urgency facing our humanity.
Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.